Hey, it's Brandon again. Try and do one out front. I'll see how this goes. I've never talked about it to anyone before, except my family, who remembers it, and they just think I'm crazy. So my first memory, I have a twin brother, I should mention. So when we grew up, we grew up sleeping in the same crib for I don't know how long. Kids or babies share the same crib, but my first conscious memory, I don't know exactly how old I was. I'm gonna guess about 2. My first conscious memory is that the devil was trying to get me. And even at that young, I knew what the devil was. What had happened is it was, we were put down to bed. And I don't know, some time had passed. And I remember my eyes were fixated at a point on the wall. And this face started to morph out of the wall, and it had horns, and it could be from something I had seen somewhere, but I knew that it was evil, and I knew that it was trying to get me. So that's my first conscious memory, and when I think back about my life now with some kind of clarity, from being sober for almost a year now, I look like I'm 50 years old. I'm only 31. I think I look so old because I've dealt with that kind of, those dark spirits my whole life, and I haven't really ever told anyone about it. You find a way to get through it yourself, like put the blanket over your head and just sit there and please don't hurt me, and I don't watch much TV, but what I found out through certain shows is there's people called hypersensitives who, my personality is pretty sensitive to begin with, but I guess with hypersensitive you can pick up positive and negative energies at the least. That's what they say on TV. I tend to think good and evil energy or spirits. But yeah, it happened throughout my whole life and into my adult life. And I drank a lot for 10 years, and now I'm starting to see why. It was to try and block that out, and it did work a lot of the time, because you're so drunk you don't notice, or you just don't care. And through all that, last year I experienced what I believe is full demonic possession, and I'll try and describe a little bit of what that was. I was drinking a lot, more, I don't know, a bottle of Jack Daniels a day maybe, and I remember I wasn't getting drunk though. It's like I should have just been drunk, passed out, but from what I heard, I was out doing stuff, so I guess people call that a blackout drunk, but it just seemed like alcohol and drugs didn't affect me at all. And so I started, after jail and everything, I started to hear stories of some of the stuff I was doing in which I had no memory. And I think I was in jail at the least a month, and I still have no memory. of what happened or where I was, but I had somehow gotten a hold of paper and pencil, and I had developed this concept of a church for the New World Order, and I would, you know, tell other people about it in there, including the staff, and some people would it's like they knew what I was talking about already. And as soon as I got out, I put it in a YouTube search, New World Order Church, and it brought me to a YouTube channel that I watch them regularly, called Soldiers of the Cross. It said the New World Order Church is the Church of the Antichrist, and it just scared me because I had it all drawn up. I have logos and the ethos, I guess, but I let it go because in my mind it was designed to help sinners, not sinners who curse when they get cut off in traffic, but people who've done things that result in a lot of jail time or prison time, and to just only focus on those and try and bring those people closer to Christ in the end days. But the thing that scares me about that is it was developed while being demonically possessed. So I still get ideas about it, but I think it's a bad thing because it sounded good and it's about peace. But when I hear other people on YouTube talking about the end days and the New World Order, they say the Antichrist will come preaching peace, and it'll be a New World Order church. So I don't know. You know, I talk to people in there. I mean, there are intelligent people in jail too, and a lot of people that I had contact with said it sounds reasonable, you know, and that everyone can be a part of it. But I don't know now. You know, it's just scary to think that, having no information about that, I had basically, under demonic possession, developed a whole ethos of like a world church. And I don't want to get into what the exact commandments or rules that I developed were, because some of them are pretty extreme, but I think the most important was one God, you know, and you hear that even in some of the tribal societies. I mean, they may have their deities, but, you know, I think the nations, or the tribal nations worldwide, I think at the root of their belief system, they acknowledge one creator, you know. So it was designed to bring everyone to Christ, you know, through the Church of the New World Order. And that's extremely insane now, I realize that. But I don't know, you know, how else do you reach people? How do you reach people that are in the dungeon, you know? People that most of society and citizens have given up on, you know? How do you reach those people? But, you know, that it's just, with the mental illness, it's grandiose thinking. I hear that a lot. So it's easy for me just to say, oh, I'm mentally ill, whatever, but there were crazy spiritual experiences happening. And fortunately, I was able to come out of there not possessed, or as far as my experience till now, I feel that dark energy has left me. So anyway, I don't know if that makes sense. Just something I never told anyone about. And when I saw that YouTube about it being the Antichrist who develops the New World Order Church, I really didn't want to say anything, but I don't know. I don't have any credibility to create a church anyway, so I think now it's just everyone on an individual basis has to really come to Christ and just have genuine faith and love. I think a lot of people know it that mankind is probably a lost cause at this point. It's everyone's own initiative. And if you can reach people like I'm trying to do, one person maybe, to even just start thinking about Christ in their life, maybe that's enough, I mean, as far as rapture, and true Christians, or I've heard other people say you have to be a born-again Christian to get to heaven. Everyone who's preaching Christianity knows that there are people who aren't going to make it. And it's not just people in countries like India or tribal societies that don't consider Christ who aren't going to make it. It's going to be our neighbors and our friends and family. So, I mean, I've accepted the fleshly mortality of life. I think that's why I smoke so much. One time I went to the psych ward and they said they already knew who I was. I have a lot of aliases, I guess, but my YouTube's Toa, because I was always toe up from the flow up. So, anyway. Even when I got there, it's like the staff is like, smoke them if you got them. That's kind of where I'm at right now. By the time I get cancer, the world's gonna be in complete chaos anyway. So, anyway, just something that happened, something I haven't wanted to say, but it feels kind of good to say it. And I have thought about trying to start it through the internet, a New World Order Church, but I don't know. It just seems like a lot of responsibility. It's hard enough to deal living daily with evil spirits and even angels and stuff like that. I've seen them my whole life. It's just now you have to engage with it, Anyway, that's enough for me. Peace, I guess. The East and the